What's up folks, how's it going? This is Waj. Hope you guys are all doing well, and in this video we're going to be talking about the Thurstmaster T-GT steering wheel. Now this is a wheel specifically designed for the Gran Turismo Sport platform on the PlayStation side. It does work with other racing titles on the PS4 as well as on the PC side. So we're going to talk about kind of the pros and cons, and there's definitely a lot of cool features that this steering wheel introduces for Thrustmaster, and it certainly falls in between kind of the higher end price bracket of a prosumer simulation wheel. So we're going to see what it has to offer and see ultimately if it's going to be right for you. So let's get right into it. Now, firstly, looking at the steering wheel control interface, you can see that it's directly mapped off of the PS4 DualShock 4 controller. So you have the same configuration for your circle, X, Y, triangle, square buttons, as well as the D-pad. You even have a dual analog thumbsticks, which is pretty cool. And there's some really cool rotary dials throughout the steering wheel itself. You can see 4 of them. They're made out of a really high quality metal finish, and they feel really nice when turning on them. And you can set them for specific Gran Turismo Sport controls, so you can set one for traction control, the other one for brake bias or pressure, etc. Now, even though the T-GT is highly optimized for Gran Turismo, you still can use it to play other racing titles on the PS4 and indeed the PC. Just want to set it in the other mode setting on the base itself, and when you're on your PC, it'll actually be recognized as a T300 RS. Now, the only downside is you do not have Xbox One compatibility, and the rear transducer only right now works for Gran Turismo Sport and other future Gran Turismo games. Now, currently the T-GT is being sold as a package, so it comes with the base unit, a screw-on steering wheel, as well as a pedal board that contains your clutch, brake, and accelerator. Now, you can think of the T-GT as kind of a higher-end upgrade coming from the T300 RS. Certainly in terms of build quality, you can see that the steering wheel itself is wrapped in this premium stitch leather finish, which feels really nice. The brushed metal paddle shifters feel nice and clicky and tactile, and certainly feel a cut above things like the Logitech G29. And even though you do have some plastic components here and there, it definitely doesn't detract from the overall experience of using this thing as a serious simulation wheel. Thrustmaster also re-engineered their power supply, so it's a fanless design. It's 86% more efficient than something you would find like on the T300 RS. Peak power output is up to 400 watts, and plus it looks like a turbo, which is kind of cool. Now, for those of you guys that want to use a manual gear shifter separately, you can still get the Thurstmaster TH8A, and it is compatible with the T-GT, which is good. Now, before we talk about the base unit and the wheel, let's quickly go over the pedals. Now, obviously you have a clutch brake configuration. It is quite a large base, and it does have some rubber feet at the bottom. If you're using this in a racing rig, you can definitely clamp it down to make it more secure than kind of what I have it right now. Now, I have no real major complaints in terms of the overall performance and feel of the pedals. I do have to mention that the pedals themselves are kind of controlled and measured by the distance traveled, and some other pedals in the market, such as ones from Fanatec, do measure things like pressure, which can be really important for things like braking. Now, there is a conical mod for the brake itself, so it adds a little bit more of a stiffer progressive feel with that rubber add-on, which definitely makes braking feel a little bit more realistic and certainly stiffer. But for things like pressure sensitivity, sadly this pedal does not record it. So it's probably not the most realistic interpretation of what a real car will react from a braking, accelerating, clutch standpoint. Now, the real star of the show definitely has to be the new force feedback system on the T-GT. It's using a 40-watt linear brushless motor that's belt-driven. Now, a lot of higher-end simulation wheels use a direct drive system, which can be a little bit more powerful and a little bit more realistic feeling, generally speaking, but this is no ordinary belt-driven system, and it feels very progressive, extremely realistic, and specifically in Gran Turismo Sport, when you enable the rear butt kicker / transducer, you can certainly get a little bit more extra steering column vibration that makes the terrain response system that is designed to emulate different track surfaces feel a lot more tighter and certainly more realistic. The turning feel is relatively smooth, responsive, and does a great job in simulating the heavy car steering feel that you get in a race car. Now, in terms of the operational noise of the entire system itself, I do have to say it's relatively quiet. There's a relatively low fan noise. The vibration noise from the motors themselves are a lot quieter than the T300 RS and indeed the Logitech G29, which is definitely a plus side if you want to keep things as quiet as possible. Now, besides that, guys, that's really it. Probably my biggest concern with the T-GT is definitely from a price perspective. It's almost double the price of what the T300 RS goes for, and indeed the G29 from Logitech. That being said, it certainly is superior. It definitely feels a little bit more premium than those kind of entry-level / mid-range wheels. And although it could compete with higher-end steering wheels from Fanatec, it still doesn't have the level of precision and the overall build quality that super high-end enthusiasts are going to kind of look for when building a really professional simulation rig. But that being considered, on the PlayStation platform, it's probably certainly one of the best Gran Turismo wheels out right now. So if you're specifically a Gran Turismo fan, this is probably the #1 choice for you. On the PC side, there's definitely other options, and certainly if you go through a custom wheel building route, there's definitely a tremendous level of options if you do have a larger budget. But I think the force feedback system being so good on the T-GT, it's certainly not a bad option for pretty much any platform, whether it be for PC or the PlayStation. So definitely check it out if you're in the market for a new wheel. But besides that, guys, that's really it. If you have any specific questions, let me know. Give us a thumbs up if you like this overall review. And thank you so much for your support. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. Take care.